Yo, what's good, folkers? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world. This is Snapzilla Gorilla, Tyrant's Bane. Welcome to the definition of anarchy. I know I changed my name again. Well, I changed the name of the channel because I felt like it was time to be a little bit more clear about where I stood these days. You know, and where I stand is against tyranny. So I felt like I need to be a little bit more direct, a little bit less confusion behind what I stand for. You know, because people like to confuse what anarchy is, what it isn't. You know, they assign labels to it like chaos, and you know, they have a very screwed up perception of what anarchy is. What's up? What's good, Anarchy TV? So I figured, you know, if it's not clear enough for you, I am completely against tyranny. So that's what it is. This is gonna be a quick live. Not gonna be on here long.
In 3/10 of a mile, right turn.
I just want everybody to send positive vibes out to the people in Texas. They got hit hard by this extreme weather condition, you know what I'm saying, that may or may not be natural. You know, I believe the last time in parts of Texas it got that cold, or where they had those freezing temperatures like that, were over 100 years ago or something like that. So, you know, they've really been hit hard out there. A lot of people are suffering, a lot of power out and all this other stuff. You know, you can see pictures. There's one picture, is a crazy picture, where the ceiling fan, I guess there was a roof leak or something, and the water dripping from the ceiling fan is so cold that the water formed into icicles inside the freaking you know, inside the building. That lets you know how cold it is. And then to have their power turned off, they can't even get any heat. A lot of these people, they're not prepared for that type of weather.
Proceed on.
You know, the municipalities aren't prepared. The government of Texas, you know, they're not prepared. As a matter of fact, you had one mayor, I've got his name. This one mayor pretty much said, screw you guys, you're on your own. Don't ask for handouts. I mean, he went into this whole big old thing about handouts and getting off your ass, quit being lazy, as if he was talking to welfare recipients. You know what I'm saying? Salute California Dreaming in NYC. He's not talking to welfare recipients. He's talking to his constituency, the people that pay for the service. These people pay for their power. They pay for the heating. They pay for the electrical. They pay for the running water. So it's not like they're getting this shit for free. And he says, oh, we don't owe you anything, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You know, you were elected by the people to represent them, to look out for their best interest. You get off your ass and do your job. Mayor of, I think it was Colorado's in Texas. I don't recall the name. But, I mean, it's completely asinine. But this is just par for the course for the politician. What he said in that tweet, right, is what he said is pretty much a representation of how your government officials actually feel about you, right? How they actually feel about you. They really don't give a shit about you. They don't care if you suffer, as long as they get what they need out of you. They don't care to return in kind what you've given. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, you'll have some politicians, they'll act like, oh, we care about you, and you know, we want to give you this stimulus package so that we can make sure you guys aren't suffering through this pandemic. And then you have this nonsense about, oh, $1,400 stimulus check will lift people, it'll sustain people until July. $1,400 will sustain an individual until July. What kind of individual you talking about? You talking about somebody that, who are you talking about exactly? $1,400 is going to last until freaking July? These people are nuts, man. These people are nuts. And, you know, this just goes to show that we need to take charge of our own lives. You understand what I'm saying? Unfortunately, the people in Texas were not prepared for this type of weather. And you can't really fault them for that, because this is not the type of weather that usually gets down in Texas. So, you know, anybody who preps in Texas, they probably prepped for conditions that they would be used to, or what, you know, what Texas is known for. But it's always best prepared to prepare for whatever may occur. You understand what I'm saying? Especially if you have the knowledge or the idea or the conspiracy theory in your mind that they can control the climate. If they can control the climate, they can pretty much make anything happen. You know what I'm saying? In any part of the world, you know? So with that in mind, you have to have that in the forefront of your mind. Not in the back of your mind, in the forefront when you're talking about prepping. All right? A lot of this could have been avoided. A lot of people wouldn't have to suffer if they had wood-fired stoves, if they had generators, you know, and that they can run space heaters on, water, you know, food, all this type of stuff. But there's a lot of fighting and speculation in regards to what exactly is the problem. Like, why did this happen? Why is the power getting shut down? Okay, you got one faction they want to blame, you know, the coal industry. They want to blame the oil industry and say that they failed. And then on the other side, you have them blaming wind turbines and solar fields and all this other shit, when really it's probably a combination of all that, right? It's probably a combination of all that, especially considering if what they say is true. The wind turbines, right, the windmills, probably contribute about 25 or 20% of the state of Texas's power grid, right? And then you have the solar fields, right? You know, when you have wind turbines being frozen, boom, that's a problem, right? How do you de-ice that? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not sure if, look, you can run a gas-powered generator year-round as long as it's maintained properly. And so when you use gas-powered generators, you're not worried about shit freezing, right? So it's probably having to do with, you know, like if you have heavy ice on these power lines, you got power lines falling, you got all kind of things happening. It's just it's a lot going on in Texas right now that is contributing to the power outages. But I have to wonder, are the power outages being done deliberately for a reason? Is it being done deliberately? Are they taking advantage of the opportunity to show the people how screwed they really are and how dependent on the system they really are by cutting off the power when it's so damn freezing that people are dying from the extreme weather? You have to wonder how much of it is man controlled. I'm talking about the power outages, right? How much of that is deliberate? How much of that is actually due to a fault? What's going on here? Because what I see, right? What I see is I see something coming down in the future that would really, they're going to use this, right? They're going to use this Texas shit to really push this climate change stuff. Okay? They're going to use it to really push this climate change stuff. And they're going to be, they're thinking is, oh, people are going to be more on board and more inclined to believe in the climate change narrative because of what they went through this year. And that's why they had to change it to climate change as opposed to global warming, right? But you hear them talking about, oh, well, there's global warming in some areas, and then in some areas it's global cooling and this, that, and the third. Look, what happened may very well be a natural phenomenon, right? It may very well be a natural phenomenon. This type of shit happens, right? What's up, Xavier? This type of shit happens, right? The climate goes through cycles, right? It goes in and out of ice ages, you know what I'm saying? And we don't know the extent of what that could look like. We don't know. And this was going on in Texas. That might be part of cycling in and out of no idea, or it could be man manipulated, like I said. So I don't know, man. But this needs to be taken as a hard lesson. If anybody, I don't know if anybody in the chat or anybody watching is from Texas or in Texas, but I'm sending positive vibes and positive energy your direction, in the hopes that you guys come out of this. It should happen. They need to get their shit together and get the power back on so that you guys can have heat. You can't, some people like to blame Texans for not being prepared, but if you don't know, you don't know. If you aren't getting the knowledge, you're not getting the knowledge. And if you're getting your information from mainstream media and the government alone, then you're not going to know about prepping. You're not going to prepare for anything like this. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully this will open some eyes of the people in Texas and all over the country, and they can look at what they need to do to be prepared for whatever may come. Damn, get on over. Get on over, truck.
Continue on CA.
So,
West.
I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy. I know a few people in Texas. You're seeing all the videos. People are scared. They're cold as shit. I couldn't imagine being caught in that predicament. And that's why I have to think about really, really think hard about where I'm going to relocate to. I've already made my decision, and in this area where I'm moving to, it doesn't really, they have mild winters, they have hot summers, but mild winters, and their summers aren't super hot. So where I'm going, it's pretty good climate wise, but it's also a possibility that something like what happened in Texas happens there as well. So I'm going to go there with the mind, okay, I need to get a backup generator. I need to make sure I have a backup generator, gas and electric. I have to make sure that, I got de-icing equipment, whatever I have to have. Now I'm putting that in my brain. It's not really a concern here in California, but you never know. It could happen in California too. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, guys. This looks like a good learning lesson. What did Rahm Emanuel say? Never let a good crisis go to waste. Well, that can be true. Except we're not going to use this to learn how we can be more tyrannical and have more control over the people. We're going to use this to understand and learn what we need to do to prepare for something similar. Because you never know what can happen at any given moment. No one knew that this was going to happen in Texas, right? No one was warned and say, well, you know what? You're going to have below freezing temperatures for days going on in Texas. They don't have slow plows. They don't have the shit that they need to clear roads. You understand what I'm saying? Like otherwise, whereas you go somewhere like New York or Ohio or Illinois, in those northern areas, they are prepared and equipped to deal with this extreme situation. Whereas, and then they also, you know, how they run the power, how they do this, how they do that. There's certain ways they have to do things in those colder areas that are way different than what they do in California or Texas or somewhere like that. It was just not, man, it's kind of crazy. It lets you know how delicate the infrastructure is. The infrastructure in this country is super delicate, super fragile. So that's another thing to look at. It's another thing to look at, like how fragile is this shit gonna be? So, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just a lot going on, a lot of distractions, a lot of things being done, a lot of things being done in the legislature to clamp down more control, to take away more of our freedoms. I don't know if you guys heard, but there's two small bills, right, going through the chambers of Congress right now. Were just introduced, essentially. You guys are familiar with HR 127, right? HR 127 is the ultimate gun control bill for the controllers. I mean, it covers damn near everything, right? But then there are two smaller bills that were just introduced. One having to do with registration, right? Firearm registration, and another having to do with self-defense liability insurance. So these people, now they're trying to introduce a bill where you can't buy a firearm, you can't purchase a firearm unless you have self-defense liability insurance. Okay? You can't even buy one until you have that. Now, I have it myself with the USCCA. I've had that. I don't know if I had that. I've had that since at least 2016. I've had insurance with the USCCA since about 2016. Me and my wife. So, I mean, it's good to have, right? It's good to have, but for them to make it a requirement for you to own a firearm, man, these people really think there are kings and queens. Warrior Lord, what's good? These people think that there are kings and queens. They really think that they have the right to rule over us and tell us what we can and can't do with our money, with our time, with our energy. They really want us to think that they have the right to tell us when and where, like how we're able to buy a firearm, how we're able to purchase a tool. That's what it is. Let's not get it twisted. A firearm is a tool that we use for certain applications. All right. That tool does not operate on its own. It's not autonomous. It's not sentient. It's a tool that people use. Now, can a person be dangerous with this tool? Absolutely. But you can't legislate the possibility that someone's going to use that tool to do something harmful to someone else. Because, Jimmy up the street shot up a warehouse full of people. So, therefore, we have to take your firearms away, or we have to place further restrictions on how you can own and operate a firearm. But it's complete and utter nonsense. Now, I know there are people that are going to say, oh, well, I agree with you should have liability insurance, blah, blah, blah. But, okay, I think it's a good idea. I think having self-defense liability insurance, the way the justice system works, especially I live in California, if I end up having to use a firearm in self-defense, well, I don't have any firearms anymore because I lost them in a boating accident a couple years back. But anyway, if I had to use a firearm to defend myself in the state of California, the way the justice system works out here, if I don't have that insurance, I could be screwed out of tens of thousands of dollars, right? Or I end up being locked up because I wouldn't have the proper representation. But because I have that insurance, I know I'm covered, right? I believe people should go, because the way, like I said, the way the justice system works, the way that they're so eager to throw your ass in jail, to throw your ass in prison, to work for the state for slave wages, right? Because that's what it's all about, the prison industrial complex. They're so eager to throw your ass in the prison industrial complex that it's good to have that insurance. It's good to have that type of insurance to keep your ass out of prison. But anyway, I think it's a good idea, but I don't think it should be required before you purchase a firearm, right? Just because something is a good idea doesn't mean that you should force it on the people against their will and then restrict them from being able to get or do something because they decided to not participate in whatever it is that may or may not be a good idea. Like, it's a good idea to learn how to use a firearm safely and properly before you pick it up, right? Learn the basics, learn basic safety, learn common sense safety, right? Learn that. And then maybe take a class or two. Learn where you should and should not point that weapon. Yes, good idea. But should it be a requirement before someone can purchase it? No. I don't believe that that's no. No, I don't believe that. It's everybody's personal responsibility to ensure that they are taking the proper steps to before using that tool, right? Like, that's just what it is. Because guess what? You can force somebody to take a safety course before you purchase a firearm, and they can guess what can happen? They can still end up getting complacent and using that firearm improperly, and end up hurting themselves or somebody else. Or like with a car, you can require all these things. You can require them to take these classes and pass this test, pass that test before they can get a driver's license. But guess what?
Proceed on I-110.
If they've never driven a car before, it doesn't matter how much safety classes they go to. They're still going to be newbies. They're still going to need that real world experience to really know how to safely drive, how to safely use a firearm. So even with cars, no one has the right to force someone else to take this class, pass this test before they can drive a car. You understand what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. And that's how much of a believer in freedom I am, right? I take danger freedom over peaceful slavery, like what's the name said? High Impact Flicks. I mean, that's just real shit. The truth is the truth, no matter who says it. You know? Because guess what? How many people that don't have driver's license, how many people are on the road that don't have driver's licenses right now, but drive better than people with driver's licenses, right? You got drivers on the road right now that are driving without driver's licenses. And they'll probably never get in an accident. They'll probably never have to get pulled over because they wouldn't draw the attention of a cop. And they'll not have a driver's license. So what is that stopping, really? There are millions of people on the road without driver's licenses. And there are a million people on the road with driver's licenses, pass this test, pass that test, and still can't drive for shit. So you can't legislate intelligence. You can't legislate common sense. You can't legislate compassion. You can't do that. It's just impossible, right? You might deter some people from committing a crime if there's a law against that crime because they don't want to go through and get punished for it. But that's anybody who really wants to do what they want to do are going to do it whether there's a law against it or not. And that's That's really that's really my philosophy. Like, behind laws, that's how I look at laws. That's why I don't really subscribe to them, because when people argue law to me, like, versus reality, I have to let them know up front, I don't subscribe to man-made laws like that. Like, I don't believe in man-made laws. So when someone argues with you and they say, well, it's against the law, that's irrelevant. Oh, it's against the law. That's their go-to. Well, the law is the law. What does that mean? The law is the law? What? That's a fallacious argument. Saying the law is the law is not a real argument. That's just saying that you don't understand why. You don't even know why what they made against the law should be against the law. You're just saying, well, the law's the law, right? Like drug use. Why is there a law against drugs? Is it because the government cares? Is it because the government officials care whether or not someone gets addicted to drugs? I don't think so. I don't think that they care if someone's addicted to drugs. Is it because they don't? Is it because they don't want that person on the drugs to harm someone else because they're on drugs? I don't think they care about that either. They'll tell you, well, if you're on drugs, you can be dangerous, you're irrational, this, that, and the third. But that's not really why they made the law. That's not really, they don't really care about that. They don't. Because guess what? Even though the law's there, people still do drugs. People still do drugs. People who do drugs still harm other people, right? So what's the point? What's the point? There's already a law against assaulting somebody. It's already wrong to kill somebody. It's already wrong to steal from somebody. It's already wrong to violate other people's spaces. It's already wrong to threaten people. These things are already morally wrong, right? But because you were on drugs when you did it, then guess what? Well, now we got to outlaw the drugs to further do what? Well, what's the point? You throw somebody in jail for doing drugs. Guess what happens? The chances of them kicking that habit are very slim. That's why when you go through Narcotics Anonymous, even if you have not done, even if you've been clean for 2 or 3 years, you still are an addict. You're still calling yourself an addict. Why? Because you have an understanding that at any point in time, something can happen that will trigger you to take up those drugs again. Right? That's why they call it 2 miles ahead. That's why they call that's why you're still an addict. You can be clean for 6 years, 10 years, you're still an addict. My mom was in NA. My dad was in NA, my stepdad, for 30 years. He was clean for 30 years. But guess what? When he goes to his meetings, he still called himself an addict. When my mom goes to those meetings, she still says she's an addict. That's just what it is. That's real shit. So all that's happening is that they're able to avoid taking the drug, or they have some will, and some intestinal fortitude, and they're like, no, we're not going to do that. And they'll probably never do drugs again. The point is this: you can't legislate morality into society. You can't legislate evil. It's going to exist whether the law is there or not. That's just what it is. So these laws are not designed for that. These laws are designed to imprison and control people. They're designed to extort people. They're designed to rule over people. The more laws you have, the more control you have, the less freedoms other people have. The less freedoms the people have. And you hear it. Oh, well, what we need order, we need law, we need this, we need that, we need structure. Well, you can have structure without man-made laws. That needs to be understood, right? Oh, you need some authority. There needs to be some authority in order for people to live in society in a certain blah, blah, blah. See, when you hear that, what you're hearing is a would-be tyrant or a slave. Only slave-minded people and tyrants say that type of shit. That's just what it is. You need authority. You need this. Oh, what about the bridges and the hospitals and the roads and the blah, blah, blah? What about them? Let me ask y'all something, man.
Left turn at the end of the
Those of you who believe that we need the government to have roads and bridges, right? To have electricity,
proceed about
to have food and water and this, that. Who? Let me ask y'all something. Do you understand what goes on when these things are done, right? Who builds the bridges? Huh? Who builds the bridges? Last I checked, we hadn't had any robots building bridges yet, right? Who builds the bridges? Is it the government or is it people? Who designs the building? Who designs the bridges? Who creates the blueprints? Who engineers it? The government? No. Did the government go to school for 4 years to learn to be an engineer? To build a bridge? No. People did, right? People who have
about 2 miles to
a critical mind. They're intelligent. They have ingenuity. They're artistic. They know how to set stage. They know how to make things work stage by stage. These are people that have studied their asses off for years in order to make things work, to build a bridge. The government does not imbue you, right? It's not like you go into a chamber and the government imbues the people with the ability to build a bridge. And you come out, now I know how to build a bridge. No, this is not Neo, and we're not learning Kung Fu in a day. You know what I'm saying? What happens is, if the government needs a bridge built, guess what? They put out something. They put out a bulletin, and then people come, private contractors, right? Private contracting companies, private. They come out and they bid on the project to build the shit for the government. The government does not build bridges. The government does not build roads. They do not build hospitals and all, none of that shit. They don't build nothing. They use your taxpayer money. Look, just want y'all to see this. The government uses your taxpayer money to contract contractors, construction contractors, to come handle the shit. And guess what? The engineering company. You might have some engineers on the government side, right? You might have that works with engineers, the private engineers. So guess what? The contractors hires private engineering companies, private, architecture companies, private. You understand what I'm saying? And then they use your taxpayer money to make you fickies. So really, is the government doing to build that bridge that we can't do? And when I say the government, see, people, listen, when I say the government, we don't need government, I'm talking about the big ass centralized government of the United States. That's what I'm referring to. All the way down to the governors, to the state senates, to the state legislatures, to the state mayors, and all the motherfuckers. The way it's structured right now, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about structure itself. I'm not talking about we don't need structure. We don't need, some type of system. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we don't need the authorities. We don't need authority. to make the world go round. You don't. You just don't. All right. Now, guess what?
In half of a mile,
Government is why
onto West Vernon Avenue.
Texas is in the predicament it's in right now. Right? Because the government of Texas, right, has allowed this one energy company to monopolize 90% of the power demand in Texas. 90% of the power grid in Texas is controlled by one energy company, thanks to the government, right? Same thing in California. Like, you look at Los Angeles, and I'm not sure if this energy company is government itself. I'm not sure about that. But I know in California, you got DWP, LA, you got PG&E, you got Edison, right? Edison is essentially a private company, but they're contracted through the government. DWP is government. It's part of the city. So it's part of the city government. And they have a monopoly on all LA City electrical shit. That's a problem. So if something were to happen, you think they'd be incentivized to do great work? You think that they think their job is on the line or their contract is on the line? No, there's no competition for DWP. DWP is the only entity that can handle the grid in Los Angeles. When you remove competition, you remove the fucks given by whatever company you're using. Just like with the police departments. Because the police department it has a monopoly. The police departments has a monopoly on force.
The route guidance is now finished.
Right? They have a monopoly on force in your city, town, state, whatever. And so, because of this, there's nothing for them to lose. Right? There's nothing for these people to lose. That's why they behave like they do. And on top of that, they have qualified immunity. Where's the competition? Without competition, you got the problems. Yeshua's return says, Tyrant's Bane, TDOA, what's your email? My email is snapzillagorilla@gmail.com. If somebody can put that in the chat. Let me see what y'all talking about. We know why they do it. The prison system is business. They need to have something to arrest you for so they can use it for cheap labor. Exactly. That's all it is. They don't care. These laws aren't designed to keep you safe. They're not. No. As a matter of fact, the less safe you are, the better it is for them, right? Because you're more reliant on the government. The more dangerous it is for you, the more crime is. They love crime. They love when people commit crime. They love when people break laws because guess what? That's more slave labor. That's more money going into their coffers. That's extortion. They have more extortion funds coming in. That's why, that's the real reason laws are in place. To keep your ass in a constant state of fear and victimhood, and to constantly extort you through payroll taxes, through fines. Everything that they do is designed to keep your ass in check and keep the checks coming in to their pockets, right? To keep the chains on you. So who's up in here? Joey Poyle. Nicolette Moore was good. Her trying to turn off the power grid. That's interesting. I have to look into that. You got a link or something, Nicolette Moore? You're a mod. You can put a link in there if you got something. For Black Righteous Folks Home, I think it's on purpose. Thank God I'm in Cali. Word. Well, you know, Nicolette Moore. What's going on here, guys? What you guys arguing about? Anarchy TV says this is their dark winter. I would have to agree. Good and evil isn't real. Joey Poyle says it's all perspective. Yeah, no, it's, you just use that word for like, to good and evil. You have to, it's just a dichotomy that everybody understands. Let me see. All right, what we arguing about? Why are we arguing? All right, so Joey Poyle says, according to archaeology, Earth's cycle will eventually bury us all. I agree with that. Higher ground, move to higher ground. I agree with that as well. Yes. The maximum punishment for treason is death. I agree with that too. They're trying to control you. When shit goes down, the people will have no firearm to use against the government. Exactly, man. Government has tanks and drones. What good will rifles or handguns do against government? Okay, Joey Poyle, let me explain it to you. That's not what it's about, right? It's about having whatever means necessary, right? Whatever means necessary to defend yourself against tyrannical government. It doesn't matter if they have tanks, drones, it don't matter. And also, you have to understand that the soldiers, the people that they're going to use, they're going to have someone to pull the trigger. Soldiers, right? U.S. soldiers are going to be a little less inclined to turn those weapons against their own people. Like a drone pilot from Arkansas is probably going to think twice about dropping a Hellfire missile in Arkansas. You feel what I'm saying? The key is it's not just about the firearm. It's not just about the firearm. It's about planting those seeds in the right people's brains. I was a soldier, and I could tell you firsthand, ain't no soldier that I trained with and rode with willing to turn their guns against their own people, right? You might have a few, right? But really what they would do is place soldiers in certain strategic spots, right? As a form of intimidation. But they wouldn't really count on those soldiers actually opening fire on a crowd of people. So you just have to think, it's not just about the firearm. It's not just about firearms. It's about winning hearts and minds within your own military. That's what it's about. It's about reaching the right people. It's about showing them what's really going on. You understand what I'm saying? So that's really what it's about. And then, but you still need the firearms. That's not an argument against saying, oh, well, what are our rifles, ARs going to do against the tanks and the blah, blah, blah. That's not a real argument. That's not the point. That's not the point. You understand what I'm saying? It's deeper than that. You have to use real strategy and things like that. You have to start before the firearms are picked up by spreading information. You understand what I'm saying? By bringing about information, that's how you get the information to the people. You have to reach the people in the military. That's how you do it. And I can guarantee you, even those higher ups, right, that are just following orders, listen, you're going to have some that are going to follow orders no matter what. Then you're going to have some that ain't going to be about that life. They're going to be for the people. You just have to have faith in, well, not just have faith. You look at me talking about that. No, you can't just have faith. You just have to know that we're all human beings, and our perceptions can change. Our idea of what government is can change, like mine did. My shit started when I was in the Army, while I was in the Army. So, it can happen for other soldiers. All right. Let's see Hither. Let's see, Jay Open Eyes. They've been controlling the weather since the 1900s. Since at least the 1940s. So 1900s, this is them manipulating shit again. You shut down the power grid for the Great Reset. Yep. Joe, you should go hide in a hole and never come out, you pussy. Wow. You know, Anarchy TV, I don't think he was asking the question that most people who, yes, I don't know, I wouldn't say pussy, but, you know, like, you have to think beyond just the firearms. And even with just the firearms, I'm not just going to lay down, okay, well, they have tanks and they have hipfire missiles. I'm just going to lay down. No, I'm going to shoot at the tank no matter what. I'm going to try to disable the tank. You understand what I'm saying? Something. Like, I'm not just going to be like, okay, here you go. No, I'm not going to surrender just because they have more shit than us. No, that's not what you do. But I don't control what people say. So, you know, I'm not going to, you know, people use words. People have the right to free speech. I'm all about free speech on this channel. Like, I don't delete people for saying shit I don't like. For cussing. I don't care. Like, that's irrelevant. People should be able to communicate in any form or fashion. You know, sometimes people use bad words, you know. Chelsea doesn't exist. They just want to buy drugs from Big Pharma. Joe, you're a man or you're a pussy, but you made apparent with the comments. Joey Poyle says, I work for a company that built the foundation for bridges. Another company wouldn't install the bridge. Yeah, but yeah. And it's never the government. The government is not, there's no government construction crews. There's no, like, Department of Construction in the government. It just doesn't exist. They hire privately. And, you know, all we got to do is cut out the middleman. Yeah, and the roads are shit. Exactly, like, the roads are shitty. They can't fill potholes. Like, come on. You hire a private company to build the best bridge possible, right? You know their work. You know their history. You know what kind of work they do. You know they're going to do a good job. It's the motherfuckers that maintain this shit that's the problem. That's where you get the public works, right? That's government. The public works don't do a good job doing shit. They have a monopoly on the work, right? Private companies don't do the private work. They don't do the maintenance. They'll call a private company to, like, add something to do a huge renovation, a big undertaking. But the public works people, the maintenance people, they get paid a shitload of money, and they don't have to do a great job. They don't have to do a great job. Trust me, I know. I work on the private side as an electrician, okay? And I've seen how DWP works on the public side. The motherfuckers, they show up. So we're supposed to do a changeover, or we're supposed to turn on the distribution. We're supposed to turn on the DWP transformer so we can get power in the building. They show up, get the little picnic table, put on a little easy up. They chilling, listening to music, eating chicken and shit for 3-4 hours. And guess what? All they have to do is walk over, right? Well, sometimes they have to land their cables and all that other shit. So they'll have done that, but when it's time to turn on the power, all they gotta do is hit a switch, right? Boom. So they show up, sit around for 3 hours, hit a switch, and they on their way. And they don't even have to make sure the shit works in the building. That's our job. If my crew did the same shit, they would be fired on that first day. You see the difference between public and private? Show up to work in the private sector and sit on your ass for 3 hours and listen to music. Night and day difference. Your ass is out of there. And that's the difference, man. Like, we don't need the government for that. We don't need the government to build anything. Humans do that without, like, it's some people think having a government controlling and overseeing everything you do is like some type of magic. It's nothing magical about the government at all. They don't anoint people with special powers. They don't do that. They're not Merlin. Like, come on. Anyway, guys, I would love this. A lot of comments going on here. Justice doesn't exist. Most of my neighbors have been without power 6 days now, happening all over the country, and they love to say dark winter. That's what it is. I don't see what else you can call it. You can have a strong defensive position regardless. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly, Rod, man. Doesn't matter what they have. See, with if you have that mentality, like, I don't care what they have, I'ma still fight like hell for my freedom in my life. That shit flies out the window. Good looking out, Xavier. Xander for I don't know why I called you Xavier earlier. Rodman, show of force to intimidate without using a shot. Yep. People should be forming coalitions regardless. Who cares what they have? Did David fear the Goliath? Good question, Yeshua. I don't think he did, according to the Bible. Warrior Lord, Texas going through some freezing. Yeah, it's sad, man. Jay with open eyes says, and plus there's way more of us than them. Yes. To make up for it, along with soldiers and officers that will probably not go along with it and will join this event. Yeah, that's going to happen. Like, that's going to happen. And that's going to be a huge problem. And that's why they're doing it the way they're doing it. See, that's why they're doing it like the way they're doing it. If it was just about who had superior firepower, they wouldn't be bothering with all this nonsense, right? They wouldn't be bothering. They would be doing us like China would. China people ain't never had the right to keep and bear arms. They don't have any type of freedom. They're so conditioned to being enslaved. It's easy for China to ride roughshod, and then they train their soldiers to treat their people like shit. That's not how we do it in the United States Army. Like, we don't even deal with the U.S. civilians. We're not even supposed to deal with them. That's with the Constitution, right? We're not supposed to even be on American soil doing anything, essentially, unless you're a National Guardsman. You know what I'm saying? And even them, like, they're not trained to, like, hell, the police are more inclined to treat you like the enemy than soldiers. Believe that to retrieve that. Police are trained to treat the people in their area, in the area of patrol or jurisdiction, as the enemy. That's how the police are trained, not the United States military. Let's see. James Miller says, I love how you change your name to Tyrant's Bane, like you a villain to the state. Yeah. That's a goal. That's a goal. You know, in a fiction novel, of course. In a fiction. In a work of fiction that I'm writing in the book. You know. Government equals mind control, governo mentis. Yeah, I heard about that. But I could never find the mentis part. Like, I know govern means control, right? If you have, like, if there's somewhere I could not find, like, the etymological breakdown in that way on the internet. Warrior Lord says, your president isn't human, he's a reptilian species. He's something. Shit, he ain't something natural. March T says, why didn't they send those giant power movable vehicles? The military has giant. Who knows, man? Exactly. Right? But they'll use the military to distribute the hokey pokey. See how this shit works? Thank you, Marcia T. Great fucking question. Great question. They'll use the military to deliver the hokey pokey. You see my knife hand? This any of my veterans out there, y'all remember this? But they won't use the military to set up generators for the people. Things that make you go, Good, great fucking question, Marcy T. Why not? They can distribute the hokey pokey. They'll distribute them hokey pokey, CO ass, but they won't distribute no generators or food. Why not? Why aren't they doing that? Joey Paul says, GTG, keep up the good work. Definition of anarchy. Good looking out, Joey. Oh, the Cuomo's a piece of shit. Let me tell you that right now, Pippin. Basically, just don't take the hokey pokey. Nope. He's not Biogena. And what's going on with Bill Gates? Yo, like this dude right here. Now he's like Dr. Evil. This dude is into everything. He owns a large portion. He owns large shares, the most, I believe, in a railroad company in Canada that has to do with food distribution. And now he has all this land. Like, Bill Gates is something else, man. Let me tell y'all something. High Impact Flick vlogs covered that. You talking about the Gouverno Mentis? Yeah, I see him talk about it. But I like to fact check stuff and you know, do my own research. And for some reason I couldn't find that specific etymological breakdown. I'll look again. Maybe I'm just not looking hard enough. Jay with open eyes says, look up. I mean, it doesn't matter, right? Because government, it just means, see, when you say mint and govern, like government is like in the state of, right? The state of governing something, right? That's what I always thought. Like when you say internment, you're in the state of being interned. Or when you say, you know, what else can you put mint on? Whatever. Like, that's what I thought. And it doesn't matter, like whether it's your mind or whether you're in a state of being controlled. You're being controlled regardless. So it doesn't really matter. So government is like you're in a state of being controlled. Like they're in the state, they're in the business, they're in the mode of controlling, and that's what government is. And when you're ruled over by government, you're in a state of being controlled. So it doesn't matter, like, really the etymological breakdown. Jay with open eyes says, look up Janet Napolitano, a Homeland Security agent that foreshadowed that the next 9 hockey stick will be a power grid shutdown. And they already talking about darkest winter. They planning it all. Yep. Like, be prepared. Marcy says she thought of it this morning. Anarchy TV says during Hurricane Michael, people that were in shelters that were drug addicts could get free methadone, but no one got any kind of medication for cancer or tuberculosis or anything like that. You got to think about this stuff, man. Anarchy TV, that was a really great point, right? Just like Biden nixed the executive order that Donald Trump had to lower the prices of certain medication like insulin and stuff like that for diabetics for like 90 days or something like that. But why in the first place? Like, why would you stop? Now people have to pay thousands of dollars or $5,000 a month to get their insulin and whatever, or their EpiPen, whatever they get. Why would you even stop for any period of time? What do you need to look at? Why would you nix that? Like, these people are crazy. When they cut our freedom of speech, they can make moves in quiet. Yep. Yeshua Return says we need to be a step ahead of them. And did you see what they're doing in Australia? They basically, Facebook basically shut down all of Australia's news feeds. Like, you can't do shit on Facebook in Australia because Australia was trying to regulate Facebook because Facebook has such a monopoly, right? And they were like, okay, well, you guys need to pay the news organizations every time you use them on Facebook and for the ads, right? Facebook was like, nah, pimpin'. And they were going to pass laws in Australia to that effect. Facebook said, nah, screw you. Now, the anarchist in me is like, they're a private company. I mean, they can cut them off if they want to. But at the same time, it's like people became so reliant on Facebook in so many countries to spread information and to get the news and all that, that they're screwed. But see, that's the thing. You've become so reliant on some other entity that you know it's probably at least 25% nefarious. So that should get you to thinking like, okay, that should be a learning lesson for the people of Australia. But because they're controlled by the government, guess what? The government got them in some bullshit, right? The government in Australia got the people in some bullshit. And it's not just news. It's hospitals, right? Hospital bulletins, emergency services, all type of shit that was tied into this Facebook shit is now cut off. And that screws the people in so many ways. Now people can't get the information. You just have to, man, relying on anybody is such, oh man, it's such bullshit. Because if you get so many people so much control over you and they understand that you're relying on them for so much, where's the incentive for them to do the right thing for you? Where's the incentive? Not much incentive at all. And that's why I was trying to explain to Irene Yvette, like, look, as a matter of fact, I'm supposed to do a live stream with Irene Yvette later on this evening, and you guys want to check it out. I'll probably post a link to it in my community tab when we go live. If you guys want to hop in to her chat, and you guys can go and look at that. Chelsea Doesn't Exist says, freedom of speech is already under attack. People willing wear face flags and diapers over their mouths. Yeah, it's crazy. Marcy T says, competent history and etymology for compos mentis. Oh, compos mentis? Having possession of one's mind. Link for you, Snap. Oh, you got a link for it? If Marcy T, you got my email, so if you got a link to it, put it in the, you can send me an email or you can put it in the chat. Biden, the warrior said Biden did say we've a dark winter ahead of us. What did he mean? Good question. See, y'all are sharp, man. I got some sharp people in my chat room. I didn't even think about that. He did say it was going to be a dark winter, and look what's going on in Texas. Yeah, they all do these threats. Chelsea Doesn't Exist. They're always threatening us. Every time they write something down, every time they open their mouths, every time they talk about a piece of legislation, they're threatening us. That's all they do. They're in the threat business. That's what the government is in the threat business. Real shit. Jay with Open Eyes says, what's absolutely disgusting is how they sync tragedies like mass shootings and natural disasters up with entertainment and sports and all. Yeah. And that's how they pass some of this legislation, right? So we're supposed to be under the illusion that they're going to get resistance for a lot of this gun control shit in the Senate because they're still going to need a 2/3 majority, right? Which they're going to need 67 senators to pass this shit, pass gun control laws. Well, they're going to tie it to other bills that Republicans are going to want passed so that they'll pass the gun control. That's what Biden said that. Biden said that. See, they wanted a larger majority, if you believe in the left-right paradigm lie, in the Senate. They wish they would have had at least 67 Democratic senators, but they don't have that. So they need 67. They don't got it. So now they got to do sneaky shit. They got to do shit in a roundabout way. And if you have to govern like that, then you know you're a tyrant. If you have to sneak shit in, if you have to force it on people, if it's not voluntary, it's coercion. All right? That's what voluntarism is all about. If it's not voluntary, it's coercion. Coercion is bad, period. Yep, old school communications. That's right, Anarchy TV. I still need to get my CB radio and my ham radio. Like, for example, how they mock us at the same time the power outage is going on in Houston. They come out with the story of football player J.J. Watts leaving Houston. That's hilarious. You guys are sharp, man. Rodman, he is an evil genius, Gates. Oh, yes, he is. That was a good point, Jay with open eyes. J.J. Watts left Texas, left Houston, and now they ain't got no water to run their goddamn power. Oh, I just got a email from Yeshua's return. I'll read it when I get off this live stream. Evil genius indeed, my friends. They all they do is threaten people. Okay, so she has a Merriam-Webster dictionary. Also, please send me the email for that too, Marcy. If you can email that link to me. I'm pretty sure that's what Yeshua's return did as well. White militants will never give up their guns and weapons. No, they won't. You know what's funny? So many black people are under the illusion that if the white militia type people or the like what they think is rednecks and all this other shit is, or the white nationalists, right? They think that if they go against the government, black people can just sit back and watch and eat popcorn. What? You really think that? You really think that the government are going to go up against white folks, right? White freedom lovers. You really think that if the government goes up against white freedom lovers, that we're just going to be like in the background and they're not going to bother with us? Are you serious? This is what's going to happen. Either if we do think we're going to sit back and eat some popcorn, we better hurry up and eat that popcorn and get ready to get casted in the movie as well. You understand what I'm saying? Don't sit back on your laurels and think, oh, that's just white government against white citizens. What was it? What was it? No. No, we're not going to sit back and eat popcorn. That's not what's going to happen, all right? The government is not sitting back talking about, oh, you know what? These white motherfuckers with the guns, yeah, they're the only threat. Let's just go after them. Let's focus on them and then let black folks do what they want to do. Where is this mentality coming from? Understand this. Everybody is oppressed in this here country. Everybody is under some form of oppression. If you're not part of the elite class, if you're not part of the family, right? If you're on their list, they don't really care about color like that, like y'all think they do, right? I'm talking about the elite class. I'm talking about the banksters. They don't really care about color like that other than to use it to create division down here in the proletariat class. It's the elites against the proletariats. Point blank and period. They don't care about color like that. That's what I need people to understand. Okay? That's why I had to pull myself out of that. I'm still pro-black. Don't get it twisted. I'm still pro-black. But I had to get out of that mode where it was like all this hatred for all white people. Like, oh, I'm against all white folks and the government. But now we have to come to understand it. Like, I had to come to understand it. I had to do it. I had to come to understand it's like we're all oppressed. Are there racist white folks? Hell yes. Are there racist Hispanic folks? Hell yeah. Are there racist Indians? Racist Chinese? Yes. Yes. But that's not a big concern for me right now. The big concern for me are the ones that really have the power and are the real danger. And they're dangerous to everybody. They just are able to perpetuate this division, this racial division bullshit. When everybody understands, or most of us realizes that, look, it's not about, we got to stop, we got to knock it off. We got to knock it off. This black versus white shit, it has to be knocked off. I know, you know what I'm saying? At the risk of sounding like a coon to whoever, pro black motherfuckers listening, this shit got to stop. But at the same time, we do have to understand and recognize and acknowledge that there is disparities. There is huge disparities between how black people are treated and white people are treated in this country. Why? I'll tell you why. Because the ruling class is white. If the ruling class was black and they had designs against white, or if they had evil, nefarious intentions against the people, then guess what? The ruling class would be black, and the black folks would have it better off than the white folks. That's just how it works. When you have black people in charge and they're evil and they're tyrants, it's going to look worse for the white folks. And if the tyrants are white, it's going to look worse for the black folks. That's just how it works. And then trickles down through the system. It trickles down through all branches of government. And trickles down to corporations. You understand what I'm saying? Because I saw a video where a black couple, right, had their house appraised. Did all this work on their house. Had it appraised. Didn't get shit extra, right? The needle did not move on the value of their house. Then they had a white friend pose as the owner of that same house. And the appraisal was $500,000 above what the original appraisal was. So yes, there is that. But the ruling class, well, all ruling classes are tyrannical, right? Everybody who wants to rule over you is a tyrant. So if the ruling class is black, it's going to look worse for the white folks. If the ruling class is Hispanic, it's going to look worse it's going to look better for the Hispanics. That's just reality. You can argue me the point all day and night. That's just how it works. As simple as that. It's really simple. So we have to see past the bullshit. We have to say, okay, yes, white people are treated better in this country, but it's because we understand that the ruling class is white. And we also have to acknowledge there's racist white folks, racist black folks, this, that, and third. It is what it is. But once you break down that power structure, that elite class, things are going to, you just have to make sure that after you topple a tyrannical government, you don't have designs, or someone else doesn't have designs to take over as rulers and tyrants. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what you have to establish. You just have to establish respect for human beings, respect for human life. Why can't we see that? There's always going to be murderers. There's always going to be thieves. There's always going to be this, that, and the third, right? There's always going to be people that are going to treat other people like shit. That's just a reality. But those people do not need to be in charge of everybody else. You understand what I'm saying? We don't need the psychopaths at the top. Get rid of the psychopaths. Y'all see what I'm saying? Anyway, I would love to continue talking, but well, that's a good question, Alan Powell. Alan Powell asked, what if the ruling class wear tiny little hats? Well, they pass for white. They pass for white. They can pass for white, right? And who they been foxing with most of their existence? White folks. I mean, this is what it is, right? They're considered white to some people. Some people they're not. So, and guess what? The ruling class wear tiny hats. Guess who runs most of the shit? The tiny hat folks, right? The entertainment industry, the music industry, the banking industry. The banking industry. It just so happens they're puppets, right? They're high-level puppets, right, in government. They had occasions, like Xander said. That's just reality. This is the problem. The problem is not who's in charge or what race of people are in charge. The problem is somebody's in charge. That's the problem. That's the biggest problem. The problem is somebody is in charge. Somebody has authority over somebody else. That's the problem. Laid out flat, plain as white. Plain as white. I saw whitewashing I had from March T. Yeshua's return says, I'm a white dude and I felt discrimination hard my whole life. Most people are just low-level consciousness and result. Yeah, that's just a reality. That's just the reality. And it depends on who the ruling class is. Let me tell y'all something. The problem is not who's in charge. The problem is that somebody is in charge. Period. The problem is we have authority. It's not legitimate authority. The problem is that there's authority, right? There's somebody that has the authority over other people. That's a problem. The problem is, y'all, that's it. Get rid of the authority. Get rid of the people in charge. Make sure no one's ever in charge again over such a large amount of people and so much land and so much resources. I know it sounds simple. It's not easy to get to that point. I understand that. And there's so much shit in place. There's so many things that they've done. So many balls they have gotten rolling. So many enemies they've made of other countries, right? They've made so many enemies of different countries. They have destroyed regions. They have destroyed whole continents. That they created so much hate for the United States. I know I know it's not as simple as just, oh, let's get rid of the tyrants and everything's gonna be okay. No, you're gonna have, guess what? You do that, they're gonna see weakness. People are gonna see weakness, they're gonna come over here and there's gonna be bigger problems. So the fight is bigger than y'all will think it's gonna be. It's gonna be bigger than that. But the key is it has to be done. It has to be done. Period. So anyway, I'm gonna get off this, guys. Lorraine says I'm gonna read a couple more comments and I'm gonna get out of here. Hey, Tyrant. Mods in chat. Hope everyone is well today. So glad that the puppeteers are noticed. Hopefully the puppets might get tired. Yeah, let's hope. Anarchy TV says, I didn't declare war on the government. The government declared war on us. Real shit. Oh, Black Spring is on? That's what's up. Yeah, I'm about to get off anyway and go holler at her. Y'all go check out Black Spring with Autumn, man. She got some good content. She's always putting out good, real information with receipts. You know what I'm saying? And, yeah. Go check her out. Black Spring with Autumn. If somebody be so kind to post her link in the description or in the chat room, y'all go check her out. She has, I mean, she'll be on there doing a presentation, showing you what she's talking about and connecting dots. So y'all go check out Black Spring with Autumn, okay? Please, one of the mods, put that in the chat room.